Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Tea Time podcast. I'm Ashley Breeve, and I'm joined with a lovely panel of trans women of color. And we're going to definitely get into some major topics that have been taking over this weekend. I'm going to let you girls introduce yourselves one by one, and then we're going to get straight to it.
Hi, I'm Bryanna.
Hi, I'm Aryanna.
Hi, this is Sharron Cooks from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Okay, great. So, how do I start this? Okay, so for those of you who do not know, over the weekend, a cisgendered man, we have to be very, very specific when we tell these stories because a lot of people are confused, especially Black Twitter. A cis gay man, who many people believe to be a trans woman, came forward to accuse NBA player Dwight Howard of harassment and threatening his life. The individual's name is what is his name? I have to pronounce it right.
Mason
Elijah. Okay, so the gay male name is Mason Elijah, and he is a proud Black gay male. He does not want to be referred to as trans, but social media has taken the fact that he looks feminine as he's trans, and a lot of people are running with a trans woman outing an NBA player, and that's the last thing we need ending 2018 with all the work that we're trying to do to exist. So I want to know, what do you girls think about this whole situation? And I'll go one by one and let everybody just speak about how they feel about this.
So who wants to go first? I guess I'll go first. Okay, so here is, from what I gathered from this whole situation, is that this, how do you pronounce this young man's name again? Mason? This young man is clearly presenting as feminine. And from my understanding, from some things that I was sent to my inbox on Twitter and on Facebook, is that this particular individual was upset because Dwight was in fact involved with trans women. And because Dwight was involved with trans women and didn't necessarily want to be involved with him as a gay man who's wearing a wig, then the expose came out. That's my understanding. So unfortunately, there is a trans woman, an actual trans woman that's involved in this story, but she was not the person who disclosed any of the information about Dwight. It was this gay boy who has been labeled in the media as a transgender woman. So this is highly problematic, and this is where the shit gets real. See, I have been, trans is an umbrella, and before I say what I say, I want to make sure that I'm very clear that regardless of how anyone chooses to express their gender or why they choose to express it that way, that is their right, and they should have the right to do that, free from discrimination and free from hatred. So now that we have that clear and out of the way, the issue for me personally is that when there are gay men running around here masquerading as trans women and passing themselves as trans women, and stuff like this happens, it's a backlash on women who actually identify as trans women and who live their life as such. Like, this is a gay man who identifies as gay, who uses him, he pronouns and other things according to his Twitter post. And it just seems like the media here is another narrative of a trans woman exposing a high profile down low dude. And I just really don't think it does anything for the movement. For liberation. It doesn't do anything for our movements for rights, and it doesn't do anything for, you know, women who are in the dating scene, who are actually trying to meet a guy. It just reinforces those stereotypes and those narratives that have already been in the public for we all know how long.
Right. So, Bryanna, well, let me just add this. So this is from, because, you know, a lot of people have been like, Twitter has been blowing up, it kind of, I guess it was a really dry Sunday because everyone had time to jump on this story. And what really shocked me was that in the midst of reading about this, the individual had a book they were promoting, talking about being an industry hoe. And I'm like,
not only being an industry hoe, but using a fake picture, that was not
a cis woman
on the cover.
Wow.
So this also goes into what we talked about the last time I was on Tea Time about these stunt queens who want publicity and who pull these stunts. So from the video that I received from my source, this man never had sex with Dwight, just found out that Dwight was not interested in him as a gay man and decided to out him because he is a trans attracted male and likes to be involved with trans women.
Well, I have a question. Was this person catfishing him as a trans woman?
That's what it appears to be.
Well, they said that they met Dwight at Wild and Out. That's what that was in one of the tweets, because there was a lot of tweets that had all these details of how they met, what happened, and then when he went live, the story changed. So me trying to, because at first I was trying to not think, okay, I was trying to not dismiss the story, because as someone who's engaged in sex work, and I've had my own list of men who I never knew was going to be on the other side of the door, you know, this does happen. There are men in celebrity and actors, athletes that do desire trans women secretly. And because of their positions, they cannot be open about it. When I started reading everything, I'm like, wait a minute, a lot of this doesn't make sense. So on Twitter, he said he met him at Wild and Out and they exchanged numbers, which sounds really odd. Like, really, an NBA player, no shade, sis, out of everyone in the crowd, he's going to go to a flamboyant gay male and that's too risky if someone's down low. I mean, I never heard of them like that.
Right.
And then he gets on Facebook, on Instagram Live and says that he never had sex with him or nothing. He saw Dwight at a trans sex party, and Dwight's allegedly Dwight's team wanted him to sign an NDA because he witnessed him with a trans woman. And this individual decided, did not want to sign the NDA. Yeah. And because of that, they're being threatened. And that's why they're exposing Dwight. So this whole thing is like so many different stories, but I have a little clip of the audio of the individual saying that he only is exposing him because he saw him with a trans woman. So I hope you can hear this.
I said that I fucked him. I said that we met face to face. And that's it. That doesn't even sound like something I would say that I fucked him. I said that I found out that he had sex with a transgender. But whatever. He said it in a tweet. Okay, show me the proof.
So he found out that he had sex with a transgender and decided to out this man.
This is so typical. This is so typical of gay men.
Tell it. Like, it's so disrespectful. And like what is this jealousy and this rift, this rivalry that they've created, like, with trans women themselves? The only thing I wanted to say, it's not the only thing I wanted to say, but it's like, one thing I had a problem with, and I think we should be careful of, is not to fall into bigotry. And like, I don't want to see trans women like using, you know, like gender binary or non-gender conforming people as a punching bag and as somebody else to oppress, you know. And I understand the frustration and like when people confuse and conflate the two.
What's happening here is that this is not a gender non-binary individual. This is not someone who is gender non-conforming. This is someone who clearly identifies as male. Clearly use him and his pronouns. So let's not conflate the two. That's a completely separate issue. We're dealing with the issue at hand. We're dealing with this gay identified male that uses male pronouns that walks around with long hair. This is how he describes himself. And he's been described in the media as a transgender person when in actuality he is not. And then when he also he's put one of our sisters who actually did have some type of encounter, allegedly, with Dwight, he's put this woman now at risk when she didn't have anything to do with it, and now Twitter is dragging her. So this is why this is a problematic situation.
It's very problematic, yeah. That's very problematic.
Bryanna, what do you think?
Oh my God.
Because what I'm seeing is, I don't mean to cut you off after I ask you what you think, but let me just say this. It's like, how I see it is like gay men are outing celebrities that have sex with trans women as if it's their place, you know, because a lot of gay men do not see us as women. So they feel like it's newsworthy. And the fact that this person,
a lot of gay men want the type of man that is attracted to trans women. That's where this comes in at. Let's keep it all the way.
But a lot of them are getting the same men too. These men are not exclusive to trans women. These men are fucking all of us. They're fucking every gender, non-binary, anything they can get a hands on. Anything with limbs.
Some, not all.
Some, not all, yeah. But I do want to escape that whole idea that a lot of trans women use when they're arguing with gay men. You want to be me. You want the men I get. Because a lot of these men are fucking them too.
I wish we had some type of number on that, because I'm with Sharron on that. I don't think it's that many. I don't know. Like,
I guess I'll jump in on this point. This whole situation is just kiki to me. But first, let me follow up on Ashley's point. Like, men, just based off of my experience, men are attracted to like femininity, and that's not just limited to trans women. I've come across men that said they would mess with like highly feminine gay men, and at one point, I can't speak for everybody else, I was a highly feminine gay man. So like femininity is not just limited to trans women, and I hate to see like trans women get into that trap of feeling like if a man decides to step out with a feminine gay man that somehow invalidates their womanhood. I think that, you know, it's making it easier to go after gay men when really the anger is misplaced, and we should be, you know, holding these men accountable. But just getting back to the main story. So from my perspective, the only reason that this individual outed or felt the need to out the whole, really, well, watching he did an Instagram live. He said he outed, he didn't intend to out Dwight Howard. He was trying to, excuse me, he was trying to out the pastor who kept on calling his phone, making the threats, trying to force him to sign the NDA agreement. He felt that he had to out him in order to protect his safety. And Dwight Howard was just collateral damage. And I think this speaks to a bigger topic. Some of these type of situations where these celebrities are outed, and mainly it's the violence against, when celebrities are outed, it's the violence that trans women face and identify individuals face that mess with these individuals. I would just like to remind us of the situation with the individual that was alleged to have dated Eddie Murphy. I'm pulling up her name right now.
Oh yeah, and was that in the 90s?
Yeah, she died in 1998. She was actually a trans woman.
Yes, and they threw her off the balcony. She was.
I thought it was a bridge they threw her off of.
Yes,
right.
Off the balcony.
I think her name was Shalimar. Shalimar.
And I just bring her up. I just bring this topic up just to bring this perspective. Like, you know, violence against people who go into these relationships with these very important men are a real thing. And I just don't want us to miss that in, you know, an effort to try to like go after this person because we feel like they're insulting trans women. Like, so if we just plausibly take what this individual was saying, they really felt that they were in danger. And, you know, this is something that is real to the community. And whether you say this person should have gotten in a situation or should not have gotten in a situation, the threat of violence is real. The threat of danger is real. And we have men out here that are willing to, that will engage with us and do all the sneaky and freaky stuff in the dark with us. But then when there's the threat of it coming into life, they will go so far as, you know, to pay us hush money and to kill us. And I just don't want that part of the story to be missed amongst some of the other things that are going on.
Right. But so in this situation, this individual is outing an NBA player for messing with a trans woman. So now, if anything happens to that trans woman,
no. I don't. From what I read on multiple sites, the person got mad when they found out that Dwight was messing with a trans woman, but they weren't going to say anything. Dwight had the fear that because of that happened, that it was going to get out. So that's why the pastor was used as a tool to like kind of force this person to sign an NDA agreement, because Dwight felt that it was going to get out because it caused so much tension in whatever relationship that they had.
Are these phone calls recorded from the pastor? Like,
yeah.
Oh shit!
You can go listen to them.
Yeah, but we have to question everything in these. You know, we're in an age right now, like Sharron was talking about. There's a lot of stunting and scamming going on. People looking for some clout. You know, sadly, a lot of our gay brothers will sell us out.
Been at that party. That gay man should have never been at a sex party that were featuring trans women. Period.
Well, he definitely appears as non-conforming. So maybe he got through because of the fact that in some cases he's mistaken as trans. So maybe he looked the part that night.
And that's my point. That's my point right there.
Wait a minute. Who was in this? Who got in the sex party, Miss Thing?
So the gay man clearly, if he knew that Dwight was having the allegation is that the gay man went to a party and saw that Dwight was, and it was a trans party. Yeah. Okay, let's take it back to Alana Starr when she had her parties and they still have TS parties that go on in New York City.
Really?
On the East Coast. Let's be clear about that.
Yes, these parties are still active. They go on all over.
How do you find out about these parties? Like how?
I used to be in the business, baby. I still get notifications.
Well, they're usually hosted in major cities. You know, it's always like in the basement. It's very much hole in the wall kind of thing. I've never been, but a lot of my girlfriends have gone, and hey, they had good time and they made good money.
I went to one of Alana's in New York and never again.
And these known athletes have no problem to showing up.
Why? What happened?
Like,
what happened there, Sharron?
Well, I mean, personally, that was back in like 2000. I'll say probably like 2007, 2008. And for me personally, I don't like to walk into environments that make me feel like a meat market. And that's just how it was. And it was just way too much intense. It was too intense because you had men there that were like on the prowl, going from girl to girl. You had the girls just being the girls. And then they would have, a celebrity porn star come in and, she would work work the pole and work the table. So we had entertainment. So it just really wasn't necessarily my feel. Like I went there. I think Mia Isabella's party was there. No, it wasn't Mia Isabella. It was Jennifer somebody's party. I forget her name. So she was there. There were a lot of other girls that were in the industry that were big names that were there as well. And, you know, just the whole environment of the party just wasn't necessarily my flavor, because I'm like, okay, it just feels like at any second, everyone's going to start taking their clothes off and it's going to be one of the orgies, and that's just not, you know, I'm done. That's just not my.
Oh my God.
Jennifer Paris's birthday party, and
Oh.
you know, it was like, you know, this Alana Star party. So, you know, in the beginning, everything was cool, but then it started to get a little weird as, you know, the night started to fall, and I was like, okay, this is my time to go. And me and the group of girlfriends that I went with, you know, we ended up leaving. So I say all of that to say, and I share that story and that experience to say that those parties are exclusive for men who are attracted to trans women and for trans women to go there. So the idea that there is a male identified individual that identifies as gay that is in that space, to me, that's the first red flag. What were you doing in that space to witness that in the first place? Because
I mean, who let them through to get in? Who was at the gate?
Right, but they look, but you know, it's
but
not hard
this is
for
the thing,
someone
Ashley,
to
and I know exactly what you're going to say. That person was presenting as though they were a trans woman. So, of course, they let that person inside the door. Then later on, I'm inferring here, later on, when they found out that this was a gay man and not a trans woman, then this is where, okay, there could possibly be a leak. We need to have this non-disclosure agreement.
Right, and they refused to, which would make you think that they came there on purpose to witness these kind of things.
But if they refuse, why not like be like, okay, you can't come in if you don't sign? Like, why were they still admitted into the party?
Already in.
When you go to these parties, it's already understood that what goes on inside those doors goes on inside those doors and between those walls.
Mm.
And I also, you know, and I agree with Bryanna, like there is this issue of violence that we do have to address and we have to acknowledge. And, you know, the pressure of signing this non-disclosure agreement and the aggressiveness of signing that non-disclosure agreement probably did make that young man feel like he was in imminent danger. And that is very correct. However, I also wanted to say that you might not be in imminent danger if you weren't in a space that you weren't supposed to be in, posing as something that you are not.
Yeah. And to me, the whole danger thing is a hype, because at the end of the day, this person has a book to push, you know.
That part.
Like, we're in the day of Stormy Daniels.
Title industry hoe, okay? So excuse my sympathy.
And people are going to eat it up. Like, it's going to be, like, people are going to eat that kind of stuff up. So, brilliant PR move for them, but it's a shitty one overall.
Did it have to be called industry hoe, though? Nasty title thing, like...
Can I call them?
Twitter. That's the name of the book, though, Bryanna. That is the name of the book.
Right. And then the fact that the cover of the book is a cis woman laying in the bed with a straight man with another.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like, and I think I could see people thinking that was her in the photo, because remember, people were thinking this was a trans woman. So I found it really funny that on their Twitter feed, they had only one default photo and a whole bunch of photos of women, cis women. And I could see how people would get it mixed up. Like, oh, well, who is she? Which one is she? Which photo is her? But
that's true, because I had to take a double take and I had to be like, is this her? Like, is this? And then after I did further research, I'm like, okay, this person or this woman on the cover of this book that is being pushed, titled Industry Hoe, okay, is not, and there might be some copyright issues or some, you know, content issues that this person might be faced by using a person's photo. We don't know if this person gave consent to use it or not. But anyway,
right.
Well, if it's a stock photo, I mean, they can.
Right. I think that the book is like one of those internet books where people purchase it. They're selling it for $13. But I think that when they purchase it, they get to read it on like a website or something, like page for page. So I don't think it's a physical copy book. Yeah, anyone could write this book. And
yeah, I know publisher finna take that on.
Any gay man could put on his best boot and take the most sickening photos and put on a nice unit and sit at their industry hoe. And it's sad that a lot of these cis women, they're so intrigued by black men, like, you know, by black men's sexuality, that they will buy a book even if it's filled with lies. That's how desperate they are to know what these black men are doing. Like, what do you think about that whole DL detective thing? The fact that there is a gay man who has a successful private group where women pay to see him have sex with down low men in the North Carolina area.
I mean, I was skimming across somebody's post today about saying how.
Well, yeah, intrigued. It could be. It feels like an obsession. The fact that if you're paying, you're obsessed with seeing who's down low. I mean, it could be either or.
I don't necessarily. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have, because these women know that this man is gay. This man is owning his sexuality, and he is engaging in a form of sex work and a form of sex entertainment. You don't know who your audience is going to be, and his audience just so happens to be women. Now, if he's if he is engaging in these videos or this content, and these men are not open, and it's kind of hard to believe, you know, if you're going to get, you know, I've done film, so any man who gets on camera and who's getting on camera for money knows that, you know, it's liable for him to get out. So he's obviously giving his consent for it to be distributed and redistributed. So it's hard for me to believe that, you know, there is a victim here. Like, there's a clear victim in this particular situation with Dwight. And the victim is the trans woman who did not disclose her relationship with this high profile individual. And this gay guy did. Now, he is also at risk because he saw something that he should not have saw, but he shouldn't have been in a place where he should not have been.
I just want to piggyback off the situation with like cis women like hungering for this information of what these men are doing. Like, I think we need to be careful with that, because these women, like, at the end of the day, are not our friends. And you can sit up and kiki with them and like give dish about what man does this and that. At the end of the day, and from my experience, like, if I got caught up in a situation with a guy and like was with a cis woman and she found out, and now she's like calling me and wanting the dirt on what we did and everything, and it all turns and backfires on me, because at the end of the day, she's gonna be with that man and stay with him, and like he can tell lies about, like, you know, what happened. Like, a personal example, like, this was like last year, and I had met this guy like at this bar, and we like got a hotel room together or whatever, and some kind of way he slipped up because his friend like at the club left his badge to get back on the military base with him, and so he had texted him to come and get the badge, not knowing that he texted his wife. And mind you, I didn't even know this was his wife. And so I'm sleeping at the room, and like, it's like 7:30 in the morning. There's a knock at the door. I'm like, well, it's not even checkout time yet. So who is this? And so he's like, ignore it or whatever. And so after a while, I couldn't. So I got up and went to the door, like, guess who is it? And she's like, housekeeping. And I'm like, you know, it's like 7:30 in the morning, right? And she's like, yeah, but this lady out here says her husband is in there. And I'm like, what? So I'm like, what are you? And so I'm like scrambling around. I'm going to shorten up the story. So I ended up like running out of the hotel room. This lady's chasing me down the hotel corridor. Like, we running across lanes of traffic. And it was crazy. So this lady ended up like finding my information, stalking my Instagram, stalking my Snapchat, found out I was trans. But the husband ended up like spinning it around, saying that like he was drunk and that I was lying and tricked him. And so this lady like spent her time, you know, attacking me and like not checking him. Like, so these women at the end of the day, even if they personally catch their man with a trans woman, like, they're still going to have his back at the end and turn on us. So it's like, I'm not with like, you know, letting cis women in on these conversations and making them privy to like the goings on between, you know, trans women and like cishet men. So that's all I had to say about that.
Well, all I have to say is, no, yeah, I'm girl. You know what it is. I'm so like I could tell you're a Floridian, if that's the word. But like when I'm talking to you, like I'm getting into like you know you're very calm and stuff, and it's like you know I get what you're saying and stuff. You're saying that we shouldn't be having these conversations, but at the same time, I think that a lot of cis women need to understand that the reason why these men are down low is because of them and how they react to them knowing that they're fluid.
Let me stop you right there. Let me stop you right there. See, this is the problem, okay? See, we want to deflect the responsibility onto women. When the responsibility for the society that is we are culturally structured in is a patriarchal society. Now, if a man has a problem with owning up who he is and his manhood and what he likes, that is his problem. That has nothing to do with a cis woman or a trans woman or anybody to do or anything to do with anybody else but himself.
But cis women gotta take the L for some of this stuff because it is
right. It's the fear of being seen as less of a man because a lot of these cis women demasculate these men because they like us. They call them sissies. They call them faggots. Oh, you like them? They're men. You're gay. You know that's their biggest fear.
Exactly.
So we can't just say it's the men's fault because a lot of these men they try to tell these women that they're bisexual and they get called a homo.
And I have met men who are more comfortable letting like other
society. This is a patriarchal society. Men make more than women. Men make the laws, the rules, and the policies. Men dominate politics. So
women set culture, though. Women set the terms for what the culture is.
That men don't have the power to say, you know what, this is the woman that I love, and I am going to love her, and I'm going to honor her, and I'm going to cherish her, and I'm going to affirm her publicly. Don't tell me you're dealing with a weak man. Find a man and stop playing with these little boys.
But I've heard some like men who are like more comfortable telling other men that they like trans women than they will tell cis women. Like, so we can't like tiptoe around that. Like, that's that toxic internalized misogyny that like cis women like perpetuate.
If a woman will degrade a man if he doesn't take care of his kids, if he's not making enough money, if he's with a trans woman or with a gay man, it doesn't matter. A woman sees a man as he's supposed to be her protector. He's supposed to be honest and loyal to her. Okay. A lot of these cis women who have this problem, it's not about the trans woman. It's about the fact that this man is a liar and that he cannot be trusted. And that he stepped out of
it is about us though, because let's take it back to who remembers that situation with remember Hank and Kendra the ex like playmate who was Hugh Hefner's girlfriend and she married the baseball player Hank, and y'all remember how that whole thing went. Like she was more mad about the fact that it was a trans woman he cheated with than the fact that he was cheating. And even Wendy Williams like big mouth self was up there like making a big spectacle out of it. Like what did she say? She was like, you know, to cheat is one thing, but the whole transsexual thing, like, so these bitches like do look at it very different. Like they don't give a fuck if their man is cheating on them all day long, but like let him cheat with a transsexual. Like that is the lowest of the low that they can do. So, and I'm not like just gonna let cis women skate by from that responsibility. The responsibility lays on the
skate by in that situation. See, the issue is that I'm not going to deny that it will buy I'm not going to deny that if a cis woman found out today or tomorrow that her man was attracted to another man or was attracted to a woman who could not give her, if this woman is an A cup and her man has a fetish for a woman with a double fucking D, it's not going to work anyway because she can't compete. It's about a competition thing. A cis woman is not going to compete with a gay man or a pre-op trans woman. because there's something that person can offer you that I cannot, and that's making me feel less. So now I'm going to lash out when it was Hank's responsibility not to marry Kendra, not to have those fucking children, and to own up the fact that, you know what, I like trans women. Period.
Hello?
I'm here.
Oh, anybody
We're all here.
Okay.
I mean, it's the Sharron hour.
Moment.
It's the Sharron show.
So
Live on the Tea Time Network. It's the Sharron show.
This is your show, baby.
No, I definitely understand. I agree with a lot that you said, that a lot of these men, a lot of these men need to man up. You're right. But a part of that fear stems from the reaction that cis women would have to them saying what they like. So you can't just say it's the man's fault. It's the man's fault. Man up, grab your balls and be a man.
But see, the thing is, men try to impress other men. Women are a default byproduct of men trying to impress other men, because women are seen as
true.
They're seeing things to be obtained. Now, see, the conversation needs to be between men. See, it's okay for men to gangbang a girl, a cis woman, all together with all their penises out, or all to sit in the same room and watch each other jerk off while they're watching porn. So they need to be having these same conversations about what they're attracted to with each other. So then they need the affirmation from other men that it's okay. That's why it's important for trans attracted men to have spaces where they can talk and they can provide support for one another, because ultimately it's the men who need to be talking to other men. How many of you ladies, okay, those who choose to answer, have met a man who thinks he's the only one that likes trans women?
Girl, that's all of them niggas.
That's everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right, and that's sad. That is really sad.
Right. So between the men, they have this. They don't want to talk to other men about how they're feeling about their sexuality, because society dictates that they should have a certain type of sexuality. And with those conversations not being had between men, they all think that they're the only one and they're very isolated. And I think that isolation and that not having other men to talk to and share those experiences, unfortunately, we do bear the brunt of that. Cis women bear the brunt of that. Is it fair? No, but it is something that should be acknowledged and should be pointed out.
Bryanna, you being really quiet back there.
Listen, I'm just listening and taking notes.
You being very quiet.
No, because
you low riding.
No, because the conversation came this way, and I wasn't prepared for this, honey.
I know you have something to say about it.
Don't do that.
Well, first I want to say how sometimes cis women focus a little bit too much on the trans women and the gay men, and quiet as it's cut, honey. They be having each other on the low. That's one. So,
but do they even got to do it on the low though? Because it's like so.
No,
the culture is so popular.
They do it on the low because they too.
Oh, everybody! I invited another trans sister of ours,
Miss Terry.
No, they do it on the low.
Bryanna, talk about it, sis.
They do it on the low because they also feel like they have to uphold standards or ideas. Where I gotta find a husband, I gotta have babies the whole time. You bumping.
Hold on, Miss Terry, can you put headphones on?
What's going on?
Okay, all right. This sounds better. Yeah, we're getting a lot of echo.
I hear a dog barking too.
Miss Terry, it's on me. Okay, no, a lot of women, just like these trans attracted men, feel like they have to live this life of having a wife and kids. Cis women are under that too, and they be having secret relationships with each other. So that is going on as well. But getting back to the topic, and I feel like we talked about this a couple of shows. I just wanted to talk about this. Like, so going forward, is it even worth it to like get ourselves into situations like with these DL closeted men? Because my whole perspective from the situation, nobody is blameless on either side. So I'm not on one side or the other, because on the right side, like, if you didn't want to do it or you didn't want to be outed, you shouldn't have been doing it. And I feel that with like a lot of closeted or down low men. And on the other side,
but they can't fight the temptation. That's what it is.
Yeah, but then
they have the money. They want it when they want it.
But at the end of the day, the risk is still there. And then on the other side, for people in the community, whatever form that may be, you know that if you get into this situation, like, the risk of dangerous shit, you know, is there.
It's the Sharron show. Aryanna, that's you.
Oh shit! Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, so it's just like, why do people in the community continue to like put ourselves in these type of DL situations where we open ourselves up to have like emotional connections? Where for me, if I have an inkling that a nigga is on a DL or if that's the type of situation, for me it's just, okay, we're gonna cut up and then you leave. I'm not trying to have this emotional exchange with you because it's not. And at the end, I'm going to end up getting my feelings hurt. So, like, how do we go forward knowing the playing field? Or, like, what kind of advice could we impart to our communities? Because it is alluring to, like, jump into these DL relationships or, have access to these coveted guys. But at the end of the day, it's not worth it. So what are y'all thoughts on that?
People are going to do what they want to do. Like, but all I can say is, like, make sure that you are benefiting from the situation some type of way. Don't do it just to do it. Like, who cares if it's a rapper? And like, that's even more embarrassing and even more of a read because you did whatever with this man for free, but like, what do you have to show for it?
That's right, girl. Put the coins.
Like, stop falling into the allure that, okay, just because he's a rapper or a celebrity, like, no, that's not impressive.
Right. But back to what Bryanna was saying about what do we I would tell the girls, if you're being disrespected, you need to like shut that dude down and don't fuck with him. If someone is treating you less than, ain't no dick worth it to be degraded. Like, it's not worth it. I know a lot of girls that it's like they feel like a man is better than no man. And they'll put up with all the midnight creeping, meet me in the dark alley, and
it's can you hear me?
Bad.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Very good.
Chime in, girl.
Okay, y'all can hear me. Okay, wow. Hello, everybody.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Okay, so I wanted to jump in and say that I totally agree with everything that you all are saying. That is totally true. That we have to be responsible for what we put out there in the world, and when we accept less than from people, then we are responsible for accepting that. But I think that cis women are very responsible for the attitude against trans in relationships in the world with trans women, because they raise these men from very young ages to believe that it's wrong. A lot of these down low men are brainwashed, and they are consistently believing that their relationships with trans individuals are gay, and furthermore, and they learn that from their mothers and their aunts and their family members of the women.
They learn that from their father.
Thank you,
the father's responsibility to raise a man, not a woman.
But how many women? But how many single mothers are out there, and the man's not responsible for pregnancy?
That's a completely different conversation.
You know what, Sharron? This man hate train that you're on, I'm not feeling it. You've been bashing men this whole hour.
I agree. I understand what you're saying, Sharron, but you're giving the women no responsibility. Women are the ones who raise these men to be self-haters and believe that gay is wrong, when that's not true.
I have a very different perspective. I feel like because this is a wide conversation, but just follow me here. Because there is a lack of male accountability, and particularly when we talk of communities and color, particularly Black communities, like when we talk about the family unit, we are talking about a fractured family unit is what essentially we're talking about here.
Right, and the father is barely present.
Exactly.
So you can't say it's the father's responsibility to raise a man when he's not present.
Hold up. It is the father's responsibility if he's engaging in sexual activity that can result in the reproduction of a life. And if that man so chooses to walk away from that responsibility or engaging in that sex that can result from reproduction, he is at fault for not raising his child correctly. The fault does not fall solely on the woman.
Okay, but that's ideal. That's going like way off on a tangent. Like, yes, that is true, but we're dealing with the here and now. Like,
yeah, we just say it's solely on the woman.
The shoulda, woulda, couldas, and all that. Yes, that's relevant. But who's raising him immediately in that moment? Like, we can't go back into the past and like, oh, he did. Like, yes, that's very true. But we are talking about how these motherfuckers who are raised and they have to come and interact with us. Like, that's the fault of these cis women. Like, you're raising these motherfuckers and they have to come into contact with me and my sisters. So yeah, like I'm not gonna like
Grinder thing.
Huh?
I said, who the fuck is on Grinder, bitch?
Did somebody hear a notification? I didn't hear nothing.
I didn't hear anything.
I say it's the Black mothers who raise these Black men to be drug dealers before they would teach them to be lawyers. They tell them that if you're gay, that's the worst thing you can be, but you can be a murderer, a drug dealer, or anything else, and I get past it and I love you regardless. I go to prison with you, for you, but if you're gay, I'm out and get out my house. That's the mentality that teaches them not to mess with us, to keep it a secret and to want to kill us if they get it found out.
I think it's highly problematic to solely blame the cis women who have children who are fatherless for the responsibility of raising their children. When we're talking about people who can have sex that results in reproduction, the men have to take responsibility, just like women have to take responsibility. These women didn't become single mothers raising these young men by themselves. Somebody helped. So So the responsibility again falls on the male.
Okay. Well, let me put my 2 cents in just to move in this conversation forward. So how do we move this conversation forward? Because we are whether we say it's not, whether they say it's not, we are in community with Black cis women. It just is what it is. And Blacks in this conversation, I think Black cis women will have the capacity to get the conversation and come around faster and quicker than any Black cis men would. So how do we create space to like open that dialogue and have that relationship? Because I'm going to tell you, as somebody that's like in a professional field and that has to navigate these dynamics and mainly has to rely on a lot of Black cis women and sisterhood and womanhood and working together and them getting to know me and them getting to understand me. I don't think it's like healthy or progressive for us to like have this pain and like operate in silos, because that's one thing I've noticed, like as certain trans women age, they become resistant to being around like any type of Black cis woman. And as we become more visible and as we move forward, as we take the movement forward, we're going to need our Black cis women sisters. And like I said, they're going to be more easier, even if they have said problematic shit in the past or their politics have been off, they're going to be more faster to come around and to be supportive than a lot of these trifling ass niggas are. So like, how do you just go?
I don't like. I just you can move on with my other issues, but like when it comes to the topic of dating and whether we want to agree with it or not, like dating is a competitive game, and if we all are attracted to this man, we are all in competition. That's what it is, whether you want to believe that or not. And as cis Black women already have it, like troubles in the dating game, and they have this perceived like they perceive that their odds are already stacked against them in the dating game as far as like they're
Right.
Black men and just like
But-
that. You think they're gonna really want to sit down at a table and talk with us and come in and like try to come up with a solution? Like hell, fucking no. We're the competition. Like they're not gonna want to hear that or try to make.
I kind of have to push back against that because there are some Black cishet women that are woke as fuck and really get the conversation, that really understand what's going on, and that want to have sisterhood with us. And we're not going to get to where we're trying to be if we also continue this competition narrative. Because what does it do? It has us in competition with each other, and just like Sharron said, we're not placing the accountability on the men. We shouldn't be competing in the first place. So we will have to get to a point where we're going to have to have the conversation, whatever that looks like, and like let that competition shit go. I'm not on competition.
You can't. I mean, what like if you're not even conscious of it, that's just how it is. Whether you want to sit it out or not, or whether you want to. I don't believe that. That's just. It's not even just between like trans women and cis women. It's between cis women and cis women. Like whether you want to believe it or not, like if you are in the dating market, you are in competition. That's just what it is.
I don't believe that for myself. My end goal is not to be married or to be in a relationship. If the shit happens, that's nice. But I'm not in competition with anybody to get, and that's a part of this what it means to be a woman. You gotta have a man. That's not how my womanhood is set up. So,
and that's okay, and that's fine, and that's fine, and that's okay. But if you want to enter the dating game seriously, like just understand that it is a competition. Like, do you or do whatever you want to do, but like just because you're not, just because you say that you're not in competition doesn't mean like the rest of the world is going to stop and work a different way. Like,
but there's
you might think
one solution to the problem, and we have to be empowered as trans men who live on the DL and don't want to be honest and open about the relationship with trans women. We empower them when we let them lie and we uphold their lie.
Now, talk about it. I completely agree with everything that she just said. And like Bryanna said,
that's the only solution. The only solution is for us to take the power back and say that we won't date them or we won't mess
there is no competition. There's no competition.
Well, I see what Bryanna is saying.
Cat Black entered the chat. What?
And I understand the dynamic. Like my experiences with cis Black women are more resemble Bryanna's experiences with cis Black women.
So,
I do acknowledge, Aryanna, that when people are in the dating game, like it's exactly that, and there is a competition. So I see both sides, but in my personal experience, I have managed to like have personal friendships with cis women and personal and professional relationships with cis women where they have in fact given me opportunities and elevated me in a sisterhood. But I also know what it is like to be in the dating game, end quote, and ultimately women are looking at men, just as not every woman, but women are looking at men as resources and competing against other women to get that resource.
Right, and we all know how it is. Like you think you're friends with a cis woman, and you're all buddy, and charming, the best of pals, until a situation with men comes up, and that's we've all had that experience. Like I don't know, like that's just.
And
going. So I'm gonna read for ladies. There's if you go to the Tea Time Network channel, you can get into the chat room. So I want to give a shout out to Cat Black. Thanks, girl, for always supporting our show, as messy as we can be. But
Cat Black.
So she put a comment saying, "I don't compete, but I'm also polyamorous." Oh, well, I'm down with the P too. I'm polyamorous myself, and a lot of people shame me for that because I feel like that's a whole nother conversation. But I want to ask the people in the chat room to please give us likes because there seems to be people that are thumbing down this video, which I don't know. I guess it's some of the NBA players' fans.
Wow.
Yeah, it has 9 dislikes. Like, damn.
I see. Okay, somebody. I'm gonna like it myself too.
Right. So I wanted
There
to
we
talk
go.
to you ladies about the difference between a man entertaining a man who is discreet and entertaining a man who is down low. Is there a difference? And can we respect the difference?
If we mean discreet, like to me that means like if he has some type of
only discretion a man was getting from me is if he was leaving money on the fucking counter.
right.
Right, but there's men that like they're not down. It's like they just don't want no one in their business. Like I respect that. Like I don't want no one in my business. I don't need no. I don't. You know. So I feel like
difference between like, see, for me personally, like I don't deal with people underneath those circumstances. Like I don't. I discretionary circumstances are reserved for business when I was in the game, and that's what that was reserved for. Like when I was dating, like it was just that, it was dating. So there's no, when you talk about being discretionary, that means, oh, we're going to go out to a restaurant in public, but we're not going to go out to one in your neighborhood because you don't want to be recognized. That's what that says to me.
And discreet is just another word for down low.
Exactly, Miss T.
Oh, there's no reason.
Is that just me or is it?
oh yeah, Terry, you're breaking up a bit.
Mama,
Terry, you're breaking up.
I want to meet your brothers and sisters if we're gonna be together. If you're my man.
Wait,
otherwise,
Terry, can you repeat everything you said because you broke up?
You got to start from the beginning, boo.
Yeah, you broke up. Hello?
Okay.
Right, but so what about the people in these positions that like they just it's because of the career, whatever, they cannot. We know what will happen. You see what happens. It's like a male witch hunt. When a man is out dealing with a trans, it's like people stop associating with him. It's like, damn, like this is what happens. You know, it's like it looks like a career suicide for when we have all these people calling this NBA player the F word. It shows other men it just tells them stay in the closet. You know, don't ever come out.
Right.
Right.
I think that it should show value in being who you truly are and authentically yourself. That means you play amazing basketball. All of this won't even matter because the white people gonna continue to make the money they make it off him. That's what really matters. If you keep lining those white pockets, he'll still be a famous basketball player making millions of dollars. He's got to be strong enough to stand up to what people have to say and be himself.
Right.
And hopefully he don't commit suicide behind this. My God.
Seriously.
And whose fault would that be if that happened?
No, I bring that up to say that like that does happen. Just a couple weeks ago here in Chicago, there was allegedly there was some Chicago DL group, and the girls were posting dates, videos and pictures in there that didn't pay. And allegedly one of the guys ended up committing suicide once he was outed. So again, speaking back to that isolation topic, and men feel like they have to isolate themselves when it comes to like their trans attractions or queerness or whatever. You know, they do commit suicide. Like that's a real thing. So,
but once again, that reverts back to being brainwashed and believing that you rather kill yourself than have somebody know that you suck dick.
Yeah, exactly.
That's suicide from birth. That's a parent telling a child that they cannot be anything else if they gay.
Right.
If your child killed themselves because they gay, that's the parents' fault. You told them that. You taught them that.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's solely the parents' fault because there's a lot of gay youth that they're bullied in school, and then you know they can't turn to their parents and they kill themselves based on just their experiences in school. So I think that we can't blame it all on the parents because a lot of parents don't even know that their child is gay, and then they kill themselves because they're gay. You know what I mean?
And there have been circumstances where people have been liable in those particular types of cases. Like if a person is bullied to the point where, or in this particular example, the one that Bryanna brought up with the Chicago guy who ended up committing suicide because he got outed, like people don't understand that there are legal ramifications for that. Like there are legal ramifications for people that bully other people, that harass other people. Like that will also, if it leads up into their death. Like, so people need to be very conscious and cognizant of like the things that they're doing that are going to affect other people. But getting back to the point that Miss Terry was making and Bryanna was making, I think ultimately at the end of the day, when we start talking about solutions to this issue, like just like everyone has already acknowledged, a lot of we have to really work on like healing the damage that has gone on with individuals in the community. Because ultimately at the end of the day, a lot of people may be in search of just this intimacy and this closeness that sex may bring them. And because of this family rejection, and because we have all of these stigmas and all of these stereotypes in society that says, you know, we want you. So a lot of times, a lot of these girls are still staying in these relationships because it's giving them some sort of satisfaction, even though it may be a false sense of satisfaction and loving. It's something that keeps them warm at night. So at the end of the day, those are the things that we need to address. And a lot of those things can't necessarily be addressed in a community forum. Some of those things have to be a personal choice that an individual makes, and some self-reflective tools and some healthy relationship tools that person has to seek out for themselves. And I firmly believe when a person does that, then people who will support them and affirm them will start gravitating into their life. But first, we have to actually look at the damage that has been done and work on techniques and coping mechanisms to heal that damage. Because really, the reality of the situation is that a lot of us, and myself included, when we were in those types of situations, we felt rejected. We needed a sense of loving. We needed a sense of intimacy. I'll use I statements. You know, I needed that. And that was from all of the rejection that I was facing in the world. That was, you know, me needing a sense of feeling affirmed in some type of way. So it wasn't until I started actually reading this book about, you know, the philosophy of sex and love that I actually realized how, for me as a person, that I was damaged and that I had work on myself to do. And I think that that's where it starts. It starts with self-reflection, self-work, and a desire and an ambition and a goal to actually change that.
I see some people in the chat, like I see some people in the chat have the same, like, you know, mind when it comes to cis men killing themselves because they were outed. Is that wrong? I just don't give a fuck if a man like commits suicide because he was outed. At the end of it, like, get rid of the weak. Like, man the fuck up and own who you are. If you're gonna kill yourself just because you were outed for what you were attracted to, like, what, I don't care. I really don't care. Like, if a cis man chose to take his life.
On the flip side, how are you going to put all of the blame on Black women or cis women and let the cis men take by for what they do, and then turn around and say you don't care about the cis men?
I never once said that I gave cis men a pass, gave the cis trans attracted men a pass. I never said that I gave them a pass. But I was just saying, like, to me, we're throwing all cis people in the same category when it comes to this. Men and women, like, they both need to be held accountable. Like, they both do things to perpetuate the bullshit. So
right, and
that's
these
just my
men
take
feel
on it.
like they have to be in the closet. Cat Black wrote in the comments, I don't think he really saw a difference between a cross-dresser gay boy and a trans woman. She's referring to the NBA player. And we were talking about that a lot of men are femme attracted. It's like, it doesn't matter if you are a trans woman with breasts, they are attracted to femininity.
Right, but I want to acknowledge that you are absolutely correct in that statement. But I also know that there are men that are attracted to trans women who have breasts, who have hips, and they don't want to take anything else less than that. So, like, it works on both ways. Like, I mean, I remember, like, a couple years ago when Bryanna was doing her research experiment on casual encounters on Craigslist.
Wait, what happened?
No, Bryanna was doing a research experiment on dating. This is like 5 years ago, maybe 4, 5, 6 years ago, something like that. So she was doing a research experiment, and she was posting her experiences and her research material from the casual encounters when Craigslist was still open, just about dating. So just off of that and my own personal experiences, I know for sure that there are guys who are like, you know what, if you can be a boy with long hair and feminine, and there are certain guys that will go for that. And there's no argument there. However, I have seen guys that say, you know, I am looking for a trans woman or a transsexual. I'm looking for someone who has all of these particular attributes. I'm not looking for anyone with padding or stuffing. I'm not looking for anyone who's a feminine boy. I am looking for a transsexual.
Okay, but boom. They may say that on their profile, but we don't know who they're messaging when we don't know what's going on in their DMs. How many girls will pretend to be all those things, and when the guy shows up, they're in the dark apartment and they're trying to push the guy's hands because they wear butt pads and they don't have breasts and they have socks in their bra. So a lot of these, and the men won't leave. They'll still fuck them.
Well, yeah, because
they'll still fuck them. So
let's
these men can play like they want to. They want all this.
Let's put some context around this. Now, normally this isn't a sex work situation. Clients don't want to be strong armed, and they don't want to have to pay $50, and they're already there. So let's put some context to this particular example.
Well, no, it's not only in sex work, and men who are looking just to have sex on a POF, Badu, they'll go meet a girl, and the girl will pretend to be a trans woman and use a photo of a girl who's further along in their transition, and the guy shows up, and it's a cross-dresser, and they will still have.
I don't deny. That is very true. I don't deny.
But they'll tell other trans women, you have to have a slim waist, you have to have a big ass, you have to have this. But then secretly, they're fucking femboys.
All they really care about is your ability to bust thick wise or not over there, like that,
and being fully functional.
And I thank you, bitch. They be over it when you be moaning the fuck down, bitch. They be over that.
Right, but I'm really getting tired of this whole theory that gay men are jealous of trans women because of the men we get.
I mean, I still think that holds true. I still think that holds true some of the times for a lot of situations. Like I think that might vary by region. Like somewhere like in a huge city, they might have more access to those men, but like
right in New York City, these men they're on every app looking for everything.
There is a difference. Now, and I want to make a distinction here. I want to make a very clear distinction here. There is a difference from wanting sex and wanting to bust a nut, and there's a difference from I'm going to date you and walk down the street with you and hold your hand.
Well, if we want to go there,
the thing is that trans women don't make it different. Trans women are guilty of giving every man the same thing. If he's just coming to you treat him like a prince and feed him dinner and breakfast in bed, and the man who wants to love you gives him the same thing. You have to make a difference. You have to decide what man gets what, because you give everybody everything. You have nothing else.
That's true.
Let's talk about how a lot of them treat the CDs better than they treat the actual girls, and be trying to be in full-fledged relationships with the
Wait a minute, how do we do it? Is this anecdotal studies? Like, how do we know these things?
These are happening, honey. A lot of my butch queen friends that get in drags, bitch, they're getting their life.
It's true. I know a lot of them. And
they are living
and pulling ruling pieces. May I add, ruling.
Doing what though? Like, what do y'all mean? Getting like when y'all say getting your life and stuff like that?
Because they're putting on a wig and a pump, and they're getting the royal treatment if they are trans women and they're not.
Like what? They're getting like girlfriend benefits for the relationship? Like they're benefiting from the men resources? Is that what's going on? Like,
no, I have come across guys, like fine guys, and they say, I am looking for like a relationship or a dating experience with a cross dresser. So they don't even want trans women. CD. CD.
But you know what? I do want to say this.
But are these men? Are they paying these
There's a
CD's bills? Are they paying
difference
her
between-
bills? Are they doing
And
those
this
type of
is
things?
no
for them? Like,
shade. This is no shade. This is not any shade.
Sharron, where are you going with this?
There is a difference between, because of the access to resources. Let me preface my statement with this. Because their access to resources and their community resources and community spaces that are more accessible to some people, trans women across the nation look different.
mm-hmm.
So when a trans woman is in an area that she doesn't have access to the same resources that a trans woman who has access to those resources, that looks very different when it comes to dating.
Are we talking about the southern region, bitch?
The what region?
Okay, so record it.
Wait, what y'all trying to say about
So
Southern
you
girls
got it.
now? Hold
You
on
got it.
now. Y'all not gonna come to the girls of the South.
No,
Wait a minute.
Aryanna, you're one of the exceptions, bitch.
A trans woman dating in the South is very different from a trans woman dating in New York. It's a very different scenario.
I agree.
It's totally different.
What do you think the differences are, Miss Terry?
The being public, open in the South is a very different scenario. In New York, where I currently live, it's a lot of people who are openly trans attractive. Nobody gives a damn. They live there. But down South, they're very violent about it.
Right. And you're from Orlando, right?
It becomes dangerous in the South to be openly trans attracted and to be dating trans women publicly. It becomes dangerous.
Exactly. So for a girl who lives in like Mobile, Alabama, that's very different from, like Miss Terry said, living in New York City or living in Baltimore or living in Chicago or living in LA or living in Miami or living in Arizona. Like it's in different geographical areas. It is very different that way.
And can we talk about how it varies by, because I live in the South, but like I don't generally, like I can probably the whole time of like I've been in transition, I probably like dated like 2 Black men. And like normally I date men of other races. So like, can we talk about how it does differ too based on race? Like I have never like had problems with, white men like taking places or doing things like that.
The same thing I was saying earlier. It's because cis Black women raised these Black men to think this way. It's solely because of that. They've been raised by these Black women who have told them that being gay makes you nothing, and it's the worst thing you could do.
But men of other races don't get off the hook too. Now, it's not to the same degree as Black men, but I've come across some very problematic white men or problematic Latinx men. So, like, for me, in my experience, it hasn't gotten better across race. I just think when you're dealing with Black men, there are, other factors that add to the, internalized, like, transphobia and homophobia. But I can say white men are necessarily better. So.
Yeah, because with white men, you have to deal with like a lot of fetishization too, as a trans woman of color and like stuff like that. So that's one thing. Yeah.
Right. So I don't know if all you ladies saw the video of the trans woman who was kicked out of the bathroom at a school.
Queen of College.
Yeah, I wanted to know. Did you see that, Sharron?
We are.
But was she a student at the school?
I have no idea if she was a student, but she was using the female bathroom.
Student, yeah, she's a student.
They pulled her out because they said that she had to use the gender neutral, and she was presenting as gender non-conforming, but she said that she identified as trans.
Okay, so now this is where Ashley.
I'm just gonna say go to their Facebook profile. I'm just gonna say just go to their Facebook profile and look through some of the photos. Like that's
a lot of people said that she was a gender non-conforming posing as a trans woman. So from what I'm hearing is that that's a thing.
say this. Recently here in Pennsylvania, we had someone the casino was actually fined because it was an underage individual inside of the casino and had a female ID and tried to say that they were transgender. So like, this is a very slippery slope. And I had the article posted on my Facebook page. Yeah, they got the casino got fined because it was an underage person, and then
and they weren't trans though. They said that they were trans,
but they were dressed up to the nines that night though. I think I saw that video.
So the thing is, this is where I'm going to be very sensitive here.
Are you, bitch?
You know me too well. I'm gonna try to be as much as possible. Okay. So this is the thing. Now, I don't have a problem with gender non-conforming people. I don't have a problem with non-binary people. My issue is when they try to conflate trans and gender non-binary and gender non-conforming. Like, those are not the same thing. And without drawing that distinction, we run into situations such as this. However, I will say, in the defense of the person who got put out of the bathroom, I would have argued Title IX, which if that person is a student at that college, 9 times out of 10, that college is getting federal funding, and that college has to guide itself by the federal regulations.
But haven't those protections been rescinded already under this administration? That's what I thought.
Well,
it's just rescinded as a guidance. It's been rescinded as a guidance, just like it was put out as a guidance. So there's this misinterpretation that it is like this law, and it was never a law. It was just a highly recommended guidance because it came from the White House. So
okay, so let me just say this. So I want to say, so someone told me recently that there is such thing as gender non-conforming trans women. And I'm learning.
Listen, I'm going to say, all I know is this. All I can speak to is academia. And how it is referred to in academia is when you are a gender non-conforming person, that is the behavior that is not consistent with the cultural gender norms. It's the behavior. It is not an identity. Argue with the American Psychiatric Association. Don't argue with me. Coming from an academic perspective from the medical field, this is how they address that. So they don't address it as a behavior. They don't address it as an identity. They address it as a behavior. It is a behavior that goes against the social gender. So for example, it's not, now it is, but let's say in 1950, it wasn't the gender.
Okay, bye, Terry. Terry left the room. She said she went to go start dinner. Okay, I'm sorry, Sharron, continue.
In the 1950s, it was not socially acceptable gender-wise for a woman to ride a motorcycle, for example. There was a period in time where women couldn't wear pants because those were reserved specifically for men. Those gender roles are gender non-conforming because they have challenged the cultural gender norms. It's a behavior. Just because a woman rides a bike, that doesn't make her, rides a motorcycle or is into extreme sports, that doesn't make her any less of a woman or identify any less with her body or her womanhood.
I thought you was about to say something else.
But I was thinking, like, okay, y'all remember, like, speaking of living
I told you I was going to be sensitive, sis.
That show, I'm not going to be.
I mean, yeah, you're being, I get what you're saying, and I love the fact that you're giving us, all these like facts from like I didn't know that about
But isn't it an example?
Not being able to ride motorcycles, but what I'm trying to say is the fact that we have people who are gender non-conforming and they identify as trans when it's convenient. I'm not saying this individual only is one of those people, but there are gender non-conforming folks that when the time is right, they will say that they're trans, whether that's for financial benefit, to get dick, to access spaces, so there's people who are, and I wanted to know, do you think that that's a privilege? Is it part of male privilege to be able to navigate in all these different spaces?
But I actually had a quick question. You know that trans rapper Genuine Beauty?
Yes.
Isn't she an example of a gender nonconforming trans woman?
She is what she calls herself is a stud femme, which is I guess like a mixture of masc and femme. So yeah, she would be considered that. She would be considered a gender nonconforming trans, but she still identifies as a woman. So the question is, when these people are not presenting as women,
that's the thing,
and they get kicked out of women's spaces.
That's the thing, because gender nonconforming is a behavior. Because you just said that this woman identifies as a woman, but
she wears male clothes still.
But that's
I mean,
that's a woman.
She's saying it's a behavior. She's saying it's a behavior.
That's a behavior. That's an expression of that's an expression of a gender that is not in alignment with the cultural gender roles that have already been assigned by the culture.
Mm-hmm.
So she's behaving in a way by her dress that is not in accordance to the social gender roles, because women don't cut their hair short. Women don't walk around looking like studs, don't wear men's clothes. So, but this person still identifies as a woman.
I'm just mind fucked right now when I just thought about, but okay, we'll just move forward.
Yeah, because I'm just saying,
that's like saying, okay, so for example, boys wear blue, girls wear pink. If a boy wears, that's going against the gender norm.
Right, but we're talking about people who already, I mean, oh my God, like I don't even know how to word what I'm about to say.
That is non-conforming behavior. See, people are not using the correct definitions when they're not using the correct definitions when they're using this terminology and this language. And that's the problem here. The problem here is that people want to be so inclusive. We can all be inclusive, but we can be in our little bubbles in a big, gigantic bubble. It's not taking anything from anyone. So when it's convenient for, like you said, when it's convenient for a gender non-conforming person, they should be using the gender neutral bathroom. The trans women and women of trans experience should be using the women's bathroom.
But what about butch trans women with butch trans? My thing with that is like, okay, you're already born, like, you already had the biology to go along with this presentation in the first place. So, but I don't know if anybody follows what I'm saying.
A trans lesbian woman that just happens to be on the masculine side.
Exactly.
Because, there are trans lesbians that exist in the community. And, she just uses a trans lesbian that's more, aggressive and more masculine. It's no shade. I'm kind of turned on by Genuine Beauty, just the masculine.
I can see how you would be. I can see that. Like, the masculine, I could totally see it. Like, definitely. Because there have been...
It just goes to show how complex we are as trans people,
Right.
Right, definitely. So, yeah, and a lot of us have, a lot of us are secretly fluid. We just don't act upon it. Yes.
I am who you see.
Right. So, so I wanted to say, like, when people are gender non-conforming, but they're male presenting and they're walking into female spaces saying that they're trans, it's like, do you think that if you're saying that gender non-conforming is a behavior, do you think that they're putting on like it's like an act like to go against gender norms and like
that's a complex,
right? Like,
I feel like some people, it's just how they express themselves. I had, like, my sister personally dresses in man's clothes, but she identifies as a woman. Like, she has a shorter haircut now, but she still identifies as a woman. Her daughter still calls her mommy. So it's a behavior. It's not an identity.
Right, and I don't think a lot of GNC people know that. I think that they are believing that their gender is gender non-conforming.
Right, and that's the thing, is that we have gotten to a place, like, politically, socially, where people are not using the correct terminology, and they want to create all of these new terms, but the terms that are used have been studied by large medical industry. See, the problem with this is that the distinction between a transgender person, a transsexual person, and a gender nonconforming person is that a transsexual person needs some access to healthcare and some access to medical care. A transgender person who is living their everyday 24/7 life, but they don't want to have like any type of medications or any surgeries, that is a transgender person. A gender nonconforming person is a person who exhibits behaviors that are not, or expresses themselves in a way that is not according to gender identity. I'm sorry, not gender identity, to the social cultural norms of what gender is supposed to be. And by saying trans, the definition of trans is you can be a transvestite, you can be a transgender, or you can be transsexual. So those are three different categories. So having this broad trans umbrella, and then once we've started to make some way as far as our rights and visibility are concerned, now we have gender nonconforming people, and absolutely they should not be discriminated against. Absolutely, they should have all the access that they need to have to make sure that they have well-adjusted, productive lives, but not at the cost of women of trans experience and men of trans experience. And that's just how I feel about it.
But that's what's happening. And that's exactly what's happening. It's like the trans movement, the trans fight has become the gender nonconforming fight. So now it's like we're fighting for people to, trans women are trying to be seen as women, and now you have individuals that don't want to conform to a gender, that want to fight for non-conformity. And it's like, we're all in the same community, but we have different fights. Like, is that wrong to say?
Well, no, we're not in the same community. I'm not in the same community with them. They're in a different community.
I think it's a lot of frustration over this umbrella.
I'm not in the gay community. I'm not in the lesbian community. Those are not my communities. Those are not my spaces.
Well, when I hear LGBTQIA, I mean, I do feel like I am the T in LGBT. So when I say community, I mean that. I mean, are you referring to like you live in stealth?
I feel like gender identity should not be coupled with sexual orientation.
Well, that's a whole nother conversation.
But, although, like Bryanna mentioned, yes, there are trans people that are lesbians. There are trans people who are gay. Like, that's all very valid. However, I personally feel like as a heterosexual woman of trans experience, that I am in a separate category than all of that. Because let's
be in the gay category, Sharron. Girl.
I have specific requirements that they don't necessarily have or require. Because we've passed legislation here in Pennsylvania based off of that. We've passed legislation here in Philadelphia based off of that. So, like, if it's a strong enough argument to create a law, legislation, and policy, that is my position and that is my argument.
Mic drop.
So okay. There's this person I see on Facebook that's a trans man, and they've had top surgery. And they have like a full beard and everything, could totally pass for a man. But I think he's gender nonconforming because he does like wear like heels from time to time. He wears dresses, like he paints his nails, or he wears lipstick. So like, what is your thoughts on that, Sharron, or the panel?
That just sounds like a trans man that likes high femme. Like,
but couldn't they be considered to be gender nonconforming because though they are trans, they are kind of like.
Yeah, that is gender nonconforming because once again, like makeup and heels, like in the minds of society at large, those are gender things, gender for women. So it's so, oh my God, it gets so messy. It gets so messy. Wow.
And that's why we're getting the pushback in the White House.
All I gotta ask is don't take our name changes and gender marker changes away. God, please.
Girl, oh my God.
Don't do it. Don't.
Well, you know they put
Oh, girl, okay.
non-binary.
I was on the phone with some girlfriends
I
yesterday.
would never put non-binary on my ID or X on my ID, bitch. The whole point is to get through, so nobody that doesn't have to know your business doesn't
Don't
need
have to know. Thank you, sis.
Right.
Bitch, it's no shade. I'm happy for the progression and the advancements. But bitch, girl, I'm not putting that on my ID. And I work so hard to get my stuff changed. Like, do you not like?
Come on now, tell it. Talk about it.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I mean, because I'm in like a different like professional space, I have come in personal contact with like gender non-conforming people. So now, and I guess it's kind of the same thing with like people who have no reference of like trans people. Like now that I actually know gender non-conforming people and I see their story and I know them, like I see the importance of some things, but to this great society, like that we're all the same. They all want to box us up.
Yeah.
It's get frustrating,
And no shade, but gender nonconforming people have been around way longer than we have. Like the modern medical transsexual, like is a recent invention as far as like the 1920s, 1930s. So in ancient times, those trans people really would have been considered gender nonconforming.
They would have been considered androgynous.
Which is always all the same. Like tomato. When you come down to it, like, oh my goodness, child. Like
this is why language is important.
So next topic, trans tops.
Where was that? What that happened? How did we get there?
I'm playing. I'm playing.
We can go there, but like,
shouldn't we? I like that topic, but I think I'm not sure if we have the right room of girls for that. Talk about trans tops.
My homegirl calls it the epidemic. Like, it's our code word for like the epidemic. Like, she's frustrated that all these guys want to get tops, and she'll be like, "Oh, girl, the epidemic again." Like that's code word for like all these men desiring, like, to be top. And like from what I hear from like a lot of older trans women, it wasn't like that. So I'm just wondering like when this shift came and like where suddenly like all these men want
it became something that was at first experimental in adult film, then it became something that was normal and regular. So I'm just gonna say it, like, porn has a lot to do with that.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Right. That's a really good that's a really good topic, Bryanna. But I think I would rather seek out trans specific tops, girls that only do top, because I'm not sure if anyone in here is a trans top.
I plead the fifth. I mean, not really, like I have like.
I'm a versatile.
I identify as versatile as well. I'm not a total. I can't be a total top all the time. It just
right. Yeah. They want you to be daddy.
Yeah.
And it's like only certain men can inspire those type of feelings in me. Like not, I just can't do that when you.
Yeah, I feel the same way. You have to fit a certain bill or type for me to even want to go there with you. So yeah.
Right. And there's also other girls in the community that shame girls who top and say that it's gay sex.
Are these girls also post that?
Oh, it's a mixture of both.
It's a mixture of both.
Yeah. And I was having that conversation and it's like, I'm not trying to offend post-op girls. I know several trans women who had their SRS. They dealt with a few complications, but they're on their road to living their best life and whatever. They don't judge, but there are many other post-ops that once they get the SRS, even though they may have a few imperfections, they want to come back to the pre-op space and say that women don't have penises. You need to get a sex change. You're not a real woman until you have a pussy. You know, it's like all this. You know, there's a lot of caution.
I'm just gonna say
I
that
feel like a lot of cases
just because they can't make it on the other side, honey. Don't be coming back over here trying to shame the girls who are still pre-op.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say. Misery
Right,
of company.
it's
Like,
like-
it's not going good for them. They want to be like, come over here and get this botched pussy, girl.
But I think, but I think that's some. Oh wait, no, we're not gonna say that.
Oh,
They've lost depth and now they want to come back.
Oh no, that's not fair. We're not gonna post-op shame the girls.
No.
But what I'm saying is that if you feel that that's what you need,
wait a minute, Ashley. Wait a minute. Hold up, sis. You just said, okay, these post-ops come into pre-op spaces and bash us, but then you want us to return with kindness. We're not listening.
I'm trying to host a space of love and understanding, and yous are reading the girls because they have a lack of depth.
Well, on a serious note, I think. Go ahead, Bryanna. Go ahead.
How does this these trans attracted men are reading these girls who have a lack of depth and end up having to fuck them in the ass anyway?
That's where the stories are coming from.
On YouTube, and you see a lot of these videos of girls that had SRS talking about how they still take it up the butthole, honey, because they don't have enough depth in their vagina.
Okay, this is too much now. No, this is becoming violent.
But to be fair,
I don't think it's our place to make a kiki out of other girls' pain. You know?
Nobody made no kiki.
I think that a lot of
I think not kikiing the specific.
This is objective truth.
The specific lady that I am talking about, she is on YouTube. She has like 100,000 subscribers, and she kikied about it herself. So I'm not making fun of anyone in particular. I'm referring to this one YouTube video with this one girl that I saw. So I just want to make that clear. Now, to be fair, I think that there is this perception that once a girl gets her SRS, you know, the whole world is going to open up to her. And I think ultimately at the end of the day, from a lot of the post-ops that I know that I've talked to personally, like they thought it was going to be, it was more of an affirmation of themselves and their anatomy than it was for anything else.
But it's not impossible, but can we be real and be fair? Like from my experiences, like when I've been on dates, like I have to once in a while go on dates with men without like disclosing, and you see the difference and see like what you kind of get a glimpse of like what you could possibly have if you had SRS.
But there are some girls, but you know what really there are some girls, and what you're saying, Sharron, I agree. There's a lot of girls that when they get it, they think that their whole world and everything's gonna change, and they're still, unfortunately, they're still being misgendered. So that kind of plays onto their mental, like, oh my God, I just had this sex change and people are still calling me sir and mister. So don't laugh. I hear someone trying to hold a laugh. Yous are horrible. Don't try to mute it now.
You know it is when I mute it. Like, wow.
Okay.
I can't believe yous are all muting your mics and you're laughing. But there are some girls who get the SRS and they don't.
Let me tell you,
they don't pass.
100 on T-Time today. There have been girls that I have known who have transitioned later on in life, and they're not like the girls that I came into womanhood with. And, you know, they went and they had their SRS. And, you know, when you're 50 years old and you go get an SRS, that's very different from when you get an SRS when you're young.
You bitch, you know what the key, not to make fun of them, but the key is when you meet a post-op and then they start talking to you and they're like, so when did you get your sex change? And it's like, It's like, oh, I don't have one, bitch. They
Every time I go to the
get over it. They only want to talk to you, bitch.
Wait, so they don't want to kiki after?
No, bitch. Girl, it's just like, bitch, how are you?
That's fucking sad. Like,
and you don't have a sex change, but I'm still getting clocked. But that's another thing.
And that's like do other stuff. They be doing that.
Right, FFS is so like even like, but you know, and I do, but we have to.
FFS is way more important than SRS.
Right, because it's the first thing they see, your face, right? So my thing is this: I can understand that FFS is not covered by a lot of people's insurances. So a lot of the girls, due to whatever dysphoria they may have, they feel getting the SRS, since it's covered, they'd rather get something than nothing. But so you know what I mean? Like, so I feel like they're getting it, even though they know they would rather have FFS first.
But the thing is, some of the girls' dysphoria is so fucking severe. A lot of the girls don't even need FSS. Like, I've seen a lot of girls that have gotten FSS and they look worse after they get the like, girls don't.
Somebody shrunk their head.
Yeah.
Like what? What'd you say?
I said like somebody shrunk their head. They can shave down that face, honey, but that body is still there.
I just thought of that shrunken head scene in Beetlejuice when it was in the office. Like
yeah,
oh
a lot of these surgeries, like gender dysphoria is real, but I think as trans people come more into the public sphere, it's like, I think we're creating a space where we can be ourselves. So if you are a little like clocky or you have these different features, like for me, it's okay. I know I can't speak for everybody. This is just on the eye. Like, just live for, like, just accept it. But I know my dysphoria is not as intense as, you know, somebody else's. So I mean, get what you want to do, but it just seems like a lot of times girls, they like fantasize and, oh, I need to get FSS. It's like, girl, your face looked fine, like you looked cunt before, like
right. But we don't know their walk. Like some girls, we could say that a girl looks real, but when she walks down the street and she's met with that's a man, that's her. You know, that plays onto how she sees herself. So a lot of times, you know, I think that realness is in the eye of the beholder. I feel like everyone has a different idea of realness. You know, you can look at someone and say, oh, she's brick, she's a clock. But the trade, and everyone may live for her. Oh, you're right. You got a real pussy? You know, I don't think I'm real. And bitch, I get by. I'm like, what?
Through the hood, honey, with it all pulled back and no makeup, honey, and getting by a corner of boys, bitch. That is realness. So whatever shade, color, size a girl is in, honey, if you can push it through Harlem, Brooklyn, some of the dangerous areas, and you can come out all right, that is motherfucking realness. So you can't
I agree.
Tell you that you're not real. Can't nobody say that so-and-so is not real or this person isn't real, because like you just said, Ashley, nobody knows their walk. And I know plenty of girls who people said that they weren't real, people who said I wasn't real, but and I has still gotten by. So like you said, it is all in the eye of the beholder. But at the end of the day, let's not be so disillusioned to believe that there is a certain type of standard. Now, going back to what you were saying about the facial feminization surgery. See, I'm of the school that there are certain things, and I go off Pennsylvania because I live here in Pennsylvania, like that are considered medically necessary procedures for individuals who have gender dysphoria and decide that they want to take, that they need some medically necessary procedures. Facial feminization is not a medically necessary procedure. That's a cosmetic procedure that girls are, you know, electing to do because they want a certain type of look. And all that is fine, well, and good. But at the end of the day,
I think it could be argued that it is like it does. It can like help people's dysphoria greatly.
In New York City, it has been. A lot of girls are getting FFS through their insurance as due to their dysphoria. It's put down as like a medical need for them to have,
and that could be affecting their employment. It could be affecting their employment prospects. It could be affecting everything.
It's been happening more recent because at first they were pushing the SRS. And then now it's like now they're allowing the girls to get FFS as well.
Life isn't for you.
FFS is way more important.
What you said?
I said if you have to go get your skull crushed, maybe this life isn't for you.
I don't think that that's fair because a lot of people. I had my skull crushed, and it was a very minimal brow shave, and I see a big difference. So I don't think
a brow shave is very different from having your face peeled down and sawed down all over.
I mean, if people need what that's what they
That's
need.
the same thing. A brow bone shave is the same thing. They cut the top and they shave down the bone. And that is a lot of these feminization procedures have helped a lot of girls in their transition. So I don't think saying that if you have to get FFS, this life is not for you. That's that's what the surgery's for, to help feminize the girls.
Hello?
Yeah. I'm stuck on that comment.
Here.
Someone put in the comments, no FFS shaming.
I'm not FFS shaming. I'm just simply saying, if you have good genetics.
But no shame.
Not everyone's afforded the genetics.
Right, to transition. And then, puberty,
very hard.
Puberty, you can't control what, if you didn't have access to certain hormones, before male puberty started, you can't control, what you're going to look like through that process. That was a fucked up comment, for real. Yeah.
But all I'm saying is think before you do stuff, and just because it just seems like some girls just it's oh, I'm gonna get the surgery just to get they buying shit from a store, and it's sis, do you really need it?
You have to really research your doctor and
or girls going vocal cord tightening, and it's so.
Let me clarify.
Oh, the vocal cord tightening. Can we talk about the vocal cord tightening?
It becomes a fad, and there are other issues. Body dysmorphia is a real issue. There are conflated issues. There's Nicole.
But your face is on your body. You know what I mean?
I get that. I totally get that. But you have girls who have gotten everything from breast implants to calf implants. Yes, that's a little excessive. Just in my particular view, that's a little excessive. That's something else. That's gender dysphoria mixed with something else, body dysmorphic disorder.
Yeah, I need you to really.
And then I guess because especially when you talk about trans women, oh, sorry.
I need you, Sharron. I need you to really clarify that comment, because not every girl is going to look like that girl.
I totally agree.
It's hormones can only do so much.
I totally agree.
To say that, if you have to get FFS, if you have to do all that shaving, this life ain't for you. That's what the surgeries are for. And it has helped a lot of girls navigate through spaces where they're not being chased down the block, being called that's a man.
And some people with pussies, I know when I get clocked.
When I first started transitioning, I was hard as hell, and I had boys used to wait for me to leave my building so that they could throw bottles at me, because I was hard. I had a very hard brow bone. I had a hard jaw, everything. Well, hormones do their job, but it only goes so far. Some girls need to go to the surgery route, So, and it has helped.
Not to interrupt, but our sisters Hope Giselle and T.S. Madison are doing a live video
on Facebook.
Yeah, on Facebook Live.
Oh, about the Dwight Howard situation?
Yeah, and I kind of want to watch it.
All right, that's cool. So, girls, we'll keep up next Sunday if you want.
Okay.
I love you all so much. We'll continue.
Thank you, Ashley.
Yes, thank you.
Definitely. Thank you all for coming in and sharing your opinions. And thank you, Sharron, for being unfiltered.
You're welcome, babe. And I want to apologize if I offended anyone.
No FFS shaming and no SRS shaming. That's what they put in the comments.
I just apologized.
It's all love and entertainment.
It's all good.
All right, ladies, I will talk to y'all. Thank you.
Bye.
All right, good
Bye.
night.